各位亲爱的网友朋友，大家好。
Hello, my dear friends.
今天呢，我一开场的时候啊，
So today,
先给大家
at the
讲一个故
beginning
事。
of today's session, I'll
有一
tell you a
位
story.
姓汪的
It was
汪太太，
Mrs.
我
Wang
们菩提禅修的一位同修哈。
is a
她给我
fellow
讲了一个
practitioner at
就
Bodhi
是
meditation,
关于
and
她
she
这个
told me her
老
story.
伴儿
It was
汪
about
先
her
生。
husband,
有
Mr.
一天呢，
Wang.
他们一起啊，
One day,
趁这个孙子啊，这个周
when
末休息的
their
时候啊，
grandchildren
去
were not there, so they
还在
went
河里趟水，
had an outing,
不
and
小
so
心呢，
they were
老先
just
生啊陪孙子玩儿哈，孩子们这个
walking
动作
in
都
the
快啊，
river, you know,
他一
playing
不
with
小
the
心呢，
grandchild,
就在
and
河
you
里
know,
趟水的时候
the
啊，
the
因为有
kids
石
were
头
playing quite
就
roughly,
撞
but
到一下脚趾头。
he was walking in
这
the
个
river, and there
当
was
时呢
a
就流点
stone
血
that
啊，这个
actually
是很正
cut
常的事了。
his feet.
哎，赶快
Well,
上来之
this
后吧，
is
就擦干
very
净
normal, of
啊，他
course.
们也有准备，
So
就
he
带我们
went
说
to
那
the
个
bank and
止血
just
的胶布，我们说
wiped
叫创可
his
贴啊什么
foot
的，
dry
把它
and
贴上
put
去就不流血了。
bandage so it's
哎，
not bleeding anymore.
对，到晚上回家之后呢，
And
又换
when
一点
he
新的
came
又贴
back,
上它。
he changed
但
a
是呢，
new
过了4、
bandage.
5天之后啊，又觉得
However,
还不舒服。
after 4 or 5
这个
days,
胶
it's
布一
still
看是有点
feeling
溃烂的
very
感觉。
uncomfortable.
哎，
And after
他呢
he
就下
took
来
away
赶
the
快去
bandage,
买
oh
点那个
no,
消炎
it's
药，
starting some
哎，
ulcer.
到药
And
店
so
呢
he
买
went
点
to
消炎
buy
药
some
抹上。
antibiotics
哎，
and
想着这
put
个真正
the
的消炎
cream
药，
on. And he
抹了
thought,
过几天就
oh,
好了。
this is
到了
antibiotics.
15
After
天
a
之
few
后，
days, it must be
他
good.
脚啊
However,
越来越紧
after
张
over
不舒
10
服。
days,
哎，
his
人家
foot
也不用
feel
看，也带着孙子
swelling
挺
and
累的，是
painful.
吧？
You know,
就那么胀的，痛
he
的不舒服，
he didn't
赶快
used to
看
go
看吧。
to the
啊，
doctors, and so
那个脚趾头啊，
he
又
just
红啊，又
opened,
肿，
you know, he
还有
just
点
took
奇
away
怪的
the
颜色。
bandage, and he saw that his
哦，
foot was
觉得
swelling
不太对
and
啊，
and
就
reddish, and
干
he
脆
thought
第二
it
天
was
直接
not good.
去医
And
院
so
看
the
医
next
生。
day he went to see the
医生
doctor.
看完之后啊，
And
汪
after
先
seeing the
生您得留
doctor,
下来
the doctor said,
啊，
"Oh,
做一个检
Mr.
查。
Wang, you need to
我
stay
怀
here
疑
to
你有
do a
很
checkup.
多身体问题，
I
有点
suspect
年纪
that
的
you
人
have
哈，就
some
有点身体问题
issues.
正常，
You know,
那
at a certain
就
age, to have
留下
some
来检查
issues is
吧。
very normal.
检
So
查
he
了好几样，
stayed and did
那医生给他
several
很快给他
things.
答案。
And very quickly, the
哎，
doctor
说
told
您
him,
现在来呢也有点
"Well,
晚，但
it
是
is a
也
little
不
bit
算很
late for
晚。
you to come here,
哎，
but it's not too
这个
late.
您有严重的
You
糖
have
尿病，
very serious
这个问题，
diabetic.
严重的糖尿病，
Diabetes.
他自己不知道
Very
吗？
不知
serious.
道。
Oh, he didn't
他
know?
之前哈，
Grandmaster said no.
据这个汪
Before,
太太说哈，这
according
个
to
汪先生
Mrs.
虽然有
Wang,
点年纪了哈，
Mr.
60
Wang,
多岁，
even though
就
he
是他
was
自己也总感觉
already
自己啊，
at
他不
you
服
know
老，
a certain age,
他觉
but
得自己在年
he
轻的时候是一
always
个很
felt
壮
that
的男人
he was a
啊，
very
壮
strong
如牛
man,
啊，
especially
我
when
总
he
感
was
觉自己是
young,
铁打的
and he felt like
啊，
he was
根本
like
不
an
服老。
Iron Man, and
哎，
he
所以这
didn't
个他就没有觉得
accept that he's
自己是一
aging,
个病殃殃的人
and so he never thought
啊，
that
什么
he
年龄了根本不服，
he
该
was
吃肉
sick,
吃肉，该
and
喝酒
so
喝酒
um,
啊，就是一点儿都
yeah,
不
so
服老。
whatever
这人
he
乍一
wants to
看体
eat, he
格还
would
真
eat.
可
He
以，
would
还
eat
挺壮。
meat and drink alcohol. And
哎，
if you look at him, he
那
looks
所以医生
strong.
给他一说，他吓他一跳。
So when the doctor told him,
他
he
说
was shocked,
我
and he said,
还能得糖
"Me?
尿病？
I
人
can
说
have
这个糖
diabetes?"
尿病不是给谁
Well,
定做的，
the
这
doctor
个
said
随着
diabetes
年
are
龄，你
not
饮
like
食和生活的行为
ordered
如
by
果不
someone.
够
If
合理的
your
话，就可能会得。
diet or your,
是吧？
you
其实
know,
他说很多病人都
lifestyle is
是
not very
不敢相信这样的一个
healthy,
检
then
查
you
结果
could
啊，
have
所
it.
以
A
你
lot
看
of
有好
people
几样
cannot
检验
believe that they have
都
diabetes.
确
But
确认
after
你有
several
糖尿病
different kinds of
啊，赶
tests,
快
it has
跟
already
病
been
检院，我
confirmed
们
that
给
you
你做一
have
下检查
diabetes. So you
啊，
need to be
否则的话有
hospitalized,
危险。
and we
哎，
need
您
to
这个
treat you.
脚趾头
Otherwise,
哈，
it would be very
哎， 这个
dangerous.
就
And
说明
also
天呢，我们
your
叫几个
toe,
就是
you know,
老医
tomorrow
生啊，
we
有
need
经
to
验的医生
call
会
some
诊一下，
experienced doctors to
弄不
come
好
here.
是要做手术
Possibly you would have
啊，
to
这
have a
是一个
surgery. He
一
said,
个小
"What?
伤口做什
Just
么
a
手
small
术啊？
cut?"
对，
And
会不会
and
小
he
大
he
做
needed
对，
a
他
surgery?
也怕医
Really?
生给他骗人
And
嘛，是
he
吧？
was
不也有
thinking
些
maybe the
医生
doctor
贪
was just
财是吧？
exaggerating, right? Some doctors maybe just want more money. And so the next day, there was a group of doctors all agreed that they need to ampulate, the foot. It's not know, the amputation, because it was a cut on the toe. They said, if you came here later, you would have to amputate the foot. And if you're even later, you have to amputate the whole leg. But because it's only 10 days or so, and you only need to amputate the toe. So it's not that we are cruel. We need to save your life. If the bacteria spread to other places, it could actually threaten your life. Yeah, at the beginning, we were thinking that it was just a cut, right? They probably just need to, disinfect the whole area, and he needs to amputate the toe. But the doctor said it's already good enough. The doctor was a very patient doctor and very understanding, just a very, strong old man, and never ever thought that he was aging. And so how can he accept this result? And so he guided him to see all the patients there. Some people had to amputate the lower limb or the whole leg, and some got blinded, and some had ulcer all over the body. It's all caused by diabetes. And so the doctor said it's not too late that you came here. If you come here later, then you would have to amputate your foot, and if you are even later, then you would have to amputate the whole leg. So who would be able to imagine that just kick or maybe step on a sharp stone and you would have to even receive an amputation? And diabetes is really terrible and frightening. And if you know that you have diabetes, but this Mr. Wang didn't know that he had diabetes. And the reason for him never knew that he had diabetes because in his whole family, nobody had diabetes before. His ancestors, his parents never had diabetes. And because he didn't know that he had diabetes, of course his children didn't have diabetes, and so this really frightened us, Joy said, and all our online friends. So like this Mr. Wang, he didn't know that he had diabetes. So among us, maybe there are also some other people who didn't know that they've already had diabetes. So how can we know so that we don't have to wait until the amputation is already, unavoided? And so Grandmaster said, yes, I did some research, and actually, my knowledge about diabetes is not complete. And in the traditional Chinese physiognomy, they don't have everything about diabetes. So because this has something to do with the kidney and also reproductive system, so there's no definite sign only for diabetes because it's not very, a designated sign. However, there are some symptoms, So there are actually about 8 to 10 symptoms that I will share with you so that you can check whether you have these symptoms. If you think this is too serious, it doesn't matter. You could consult with your doctors. All that I'm talking here are actually shared by the doctors. And so okay, I'm going to start and you can check whether you have these symptoms. So first of all, we call it 3 highs and 1 low. So, okay, 3 mores that eat too much, drink too much, and urinate too much, but lose. 1 loss is the weight loss. So if you eat a lot and drink a lot, you should increase weight. But this symptom is that you eat a lot and drink a lot and urinate a lot, but still have weight loss. So at the beginning, 90% of the people who have diabetes, they are actually overweight. Yes, people with obesity are more prone to diabetes probably. And so remember these, okay, drinking too much, eating too much, and urinate too much, but however, lose weight. So, Grandmaster, is it because they have really good appetite, so they eat more? Well, when we analyze, well, the analyze can put later. So let's just list the symptoms first, okay? If it's worthwhile to come back and analyze these, then we can do that after all the symptoms are listed, okay? So the second is whenever there's a cut, it's very hard to heal. Say, for example, maybe in your daily life, you may cut vegetables and cut your finger, and maybe you walk and you hit on something, and then you cut your foot, or maybe there's a nail who cut you, or maybe the man was shaving and then cut his skin. Well, it's very common, right? But when you were young, you never need to care about it, and it will just naturally heal, right? However, at a certain time, it just doesn't heal. So the second symptom is it's very difficult to heal, and sometimes we even have ulcer. So this is the second symptom. The third one is itchiness of the skin. So everybody might have some sort of itchiness, but it's very serious itchiness and long-term itchiness. Then it could be a very serious problem. It doesn't mean that, okay, who has no itchiness at all? Occasionally, if you have some itchiness, it is very normal, but very serious itchiness would be the third one. And the next one is the numbness of hands and feet, and sometimes even some prickling pain. So the numbness, Joyce, numbness doesn't mean that you don't have any sensations. Yeah. Yeah, if you have no sensations, then you don't feel it. So that's no sensations. But they do have some sensations, but they feel the numbness. So it's not a complete loss of sensation. So it's different, okay? So or they have the pricking pain. Yeah.
在经常在遇到一些人的时候。
And also, if you meet people among 1 out of every 20 people, they would ask me like, oh, maybe they have the numbness in their hands or feet, and I dare not tell them. I just say, okay, go walk energy bagua, because if I tell them, it could be very serious. The fifth one is that their sensations are very dull, like degenerated. And so this degeneration of sensations, I'll explain a little bit. Say, for example, for the temperature, maybe you're washing your face or your clothes. Maybe the water is very, very hot and you feel numb. It's like you don't feel much. And it's very like, okay, Joy said, oh, maybe the normal people say, oh, this is so hot. But diabetic people, they say, well, it's not hot. It's okay, it's fine. And at least they feel it's acceptable. And so they're more tolerable in bearing the coldness or heat. I mean the hot. Yeah, and they just feel that, yeah. So usually you would think, oh, it's just different people are different. But for diabetic people, they're very, yeah, they're like very dull in their sensations. And so if somebody poked them, they don't feel. And then, yeah, they don't feel the hot water or the coldness. And if somebody wearing high heel and step on me, I would, oh no, it's so painful. But an old man, maybe somebody stepped on him and he didn't feel it. It actually, the high heel did step on him. It was just that his sensations are too too numb, or not numb, but actually degenerated. And so even when you tickle them, they don't feel anything. So this is a problem. So maybe we could talk about this. Well, somebody would say, "Oh, this is good. I don't care about hot water or a pan, right? It's good." Well, so that has something to do with the second. So if they have Joy said, if they have a cut or injury, and so the hot water, they don't feel the hot water. Maybe their brain didn't feel it, but still they would be burned. Yeah, so the skin still cannot bear that temperature, the heat. Yeah, so maybe your nerve didn't send the signal to your brain, but still the skin would be burned. And so that diabetic old man was stepped by somebody. Yeah, maybe he didn't feel anything, but when he go back, he found that, oh no, the bone was broken, or maybe there was a cut that is very hard to heal. And so on different part of the body, human body, if we have the pain feelings, this is actually a self-defense or a protection. If you touch a pot and it's very hot, and it actually you would immediately take back your hand, and it actually is protecting you. But if you don't feel hot, then you're actually not protecting yourself. The skin can be burned, and so the pain is protecting us. If you don't feel the pain, is actually very dangerous. I didn't know that diabetic people can have these issues. I never imagined. Well, Grandmaster said there are even more symptoms to follow. Wow, oh my gosh, my heart is beating too fast and really frightened. Yeah, so so Christine was saying, like in China there were those old men who was selling roasted yam, and then or barbecued yam, and it's so hot, but he was able to catch it with his bare hand. And yeah, so Grandmaster said that's different, because he had some skills how to catch or the yam or the sweet potato, because he was able to he would throw it up, and so he won't be holding it for a long time, and also he would have those calluses, and so the skin would be thicker. And the next symptom would be visions with getting more and more blurry. Well, diabetes eventually developed into blindness. It's very possible. Yeah. The prevalence rate for blindness among diabetic people is very high. Well, when people are getting older, then the vision would be blurry. Well, so for aging, a lot of times, yeah, so on the left side is normal vision, and on the right side for diabetes. So aging is actually when you cannot see very clearly. If you wear some glasses, you'll be able to see clearly. But for diabetic people, whatever glasses they wear, they cannot see very clearly. And so so all these symptoms, we need to be careful. Another kind of vision loss is the vision at night. At night, maybe there's only the moonlight or the light from the stars, or the lamplight. Yeah, so we need. Usually at night, there's still some kind of light. But in my hometown, oh, in my hometown, there was actually a kind of night that it's just so dark that it's completely dark. You know, the thick cloud was covering the sky, and because it's in the countryside, and there's no light, no power, so no lights. So if you cannot see, it's normal. If at some nights, normal people would be able to see, oh, there's houses there, even though you cannot see the details, but you can still see the shape of the houses or some people walking by. And so yeah, that would be very dangerous when they drive. Yes. So on the left side is for normal night vision, on the right side for diabetes. And so maybe these days you're tired and then you feel that the vision is blurry. And if someone was wearing dark clothes and crossing the street, sometimes it could be very dangerous because when you drive, the speed is very fast. And so anybody who drive at night, I would recommend you to drive slower. And there's kind of glasses too. I would recommend is that actually it helps the night vision to be brighter. I think that these kind of glasses are kind of like yellowish, right? And so when you're driving at night, the light won't be dispersed, and so yeah. So also, Grandmaster said, I'd like to remind everybody to, if you walk at night or walk your dog at night, you'd better wear those reflecting, clothes or belts on the wrist so that people, when they drive, they would be able to see very clearly from far away. And so yeah, so we have a cloak for our energy bagua practitioners, and so we add those. Oh, they do have that reflecting, sign or belt. If they don't have, so the energy bagua, that kind of jacket and also the pants, then they have these kind of reflecting signs. And yeah, so in Vancouver, we always have the live stream until pretty late, and when we're walking at night, some Chinese people, when they walk at night, they're not very careful, not like Western people. Usually Western people would wear those would wear those reflecting belts or clothes, and some Chinese people only they're too careless and they wear they wear only very dark colored clothes at the dark night, and it's very dangerous. So it's better to wear those reflecting belt or signs on the wrist or clothes. And the seventh sign is always feel very exhausting, very tired. And maybe you might think, oh, you're only 41 years old and only after eating, and you already feel very tired, and then you cannot do anything, cannot walk. And so you feel always very tiring and cannot focus. So check and see if you have this. And the eighth symptom is the color of your skin is either very pale or very kind of dark purple. So when it's like very pale, it's not that kind of white skin, even Caucasians, they're the healthy white skin, but if they have diabetes or heart disease, that kind of white color is very uncomfortable white. And so it's not that this person makes you feel uncomfortable. It's just that color you feel uncomfortable. So this is a kind of very sick kind of pale. So Chinese people call it pale, so it's lack of blood. And another kind of skin is the skin is either like grayish or purplish, a very dark purplish color. It's like having the blood stasis. And so pale is because of lack of blood, and this dark purplish color is because of the blood stasis or any blockage in the blood vessels, or maybe you have any problem in generating blood. And so a lot of times we call this kind of like a bruise color. And yeah, so when the blood flow is kind of blocked, it's very dangerous. Coronary heart disease is because of this, and stroke is also because of blockages. If the block is in the brain blood vessels, it could be very terrible. Maybe normally this person is very active, and all of a sudden he fell, and it could be terrible. And so the ninth symptom is sound terrifying. The nails grow thicker or becomes uneven and bumpy, and especially toenails. Yeah, sometimes on the fingernails too, but mostly on the toenails. Yeah, especially toenails. And also it could be like you lose a part of the nail, and the color of the nail could be also very abnormal. Sometimes could be dark color, or sometimes lose a part of it, or the nail is kind of pointing up or bulging. The nail usually should be like an arc, so healthy arcs. But the diabetic people, it would be like a hook. So it's not only because of diabetes, it could also indicate some other issues with the blood. So our online friends, maybe you can discuss about it. If your toenails have these issues, then which organ is connected? Does it have something to do with maybe, yeah, it's usually not just relating to one organ. It's actually several organs. So start from kidney, and then liver, and also spleen, to cause this symptom. And so in such circumstances, we would suspect that this kind of foot has something to do with diabetes. We haven't finished talking about feet. There are lots of things about feet, so I'll share more. So if you're interested, maybe you should take off your socks and look at your feet. And don't be angry, and don't be angry at me either. This is, if you see that you have at least 3 of the symptoms, then I suggest you to go and have a checkup as early as possible. The earlier you treat, the better. Yeah. Another thing another detail is that
女生我没有仔细看
I
过哈
haven't ever
这
checked
个像男生的
ladies, but for
这个有
men,
些脚背上
a
或者
lot
大
of
脚趾
times,
头的脚背
sometimes on the
背面
back of
有的时候长一点那个汗
the
毛
feet, or
哎
maybe
这
on
女
the
生会有一
big
点
toe,
女生
they
脚
have
背上
some
应该没
hair.
有，但大脚
Usually,
趾头那块儿会有的。
啊，女生
so
脚背上
Joy
没
said
毛哈
usually ladies don't have hair on the back of the feet,
而我没有
but
但
on
我
the
大脚趾
你
头上
读书比较
toe
多哈，光读书了没
has
看过那
hair.
毛哈，
Oh,
这个男女都有，它是有个轻和重。像
so
男生嘛，雄性
some
激
have
素
more
多
hair,
毛
some
发显得
have
重，女
less,
生呢这个上
and
的会淡一点，但是是
well,
有
men has
啊。
more estrogen, so maybe they have more
那个
hair.
我给
Maybe
大家说的
ladies
这个问题是什
have
么呢？比如说
men have
你
more
之前你在
androgen,
20岁、
and so
30
they
岁、
have
40岁，
more hair.
你
Ladies
大
have
脚
less
趾头
hair.
上
So
脚背
maybe
上
20
还有
years
点
old,
汗毛，你
30
都看
years
得
old,
见，
or 40
对吧？
years old
自己
on the
去
big toe,
洗
you
完
can
脚
see
啊，剪
the
剪小
hair
指
on
甲
the
之类
big
的时候，
toe.
你看
And
到
so
你
when
脚上有
you
这个毛，
after
是
you
吧？
washed your
哎，
feet,
尤
you
其是
see
女
that
生们一
there's
看就
hair
不
on the
行
toe,
啊，
and
影
then
响美观。说谁看你的脚
ladies
穿的袜子
usually
是吧？
think,
小
oh
黄
no,
头发给
it's
它
ugly. So
烧了
they
啊，
would either
拿打
burn
火
it
机来，
or
烧了啊！
不是烧
burn.
了，
Oh
两
no.
下，还是拿夹子拔了
Or maybe they would
啊
just pull it,
啊，
or
拿这个剃须刀剃了，
or
但是
maybe
这
shave
个
it,
影响
or
美观是不是啊？
because they feel it's
好，
not
先别说美容的问
pretty.
题哈。
So let's
当你
put
的这个原来的，比如说你20岁、30
the
岁，你那脚
pretty
上那
part
2根毛很
aside.
明显。
Maybe
可
when
是有
you
一天你
were
发现你的
younger,
2根
you
毛
see
长不出
the
来了，
hair
或者长出
was
来特
very
别柔
obvious, but
啊，
one day
原来
you
每一根
you
毛
feel
看
that the
都通
hair
着那么粗，说
they
现在
used to
看
be
看
very
这
strong
头
and
发的
thick,
细，
but
那
now
么
it
黄
becomes
黄的
very
就长不出来了。
very
哎
small
它
and
到了眼睑
thin
地长
and
菜似的哈，
very
长不出来了。
weak. It's
这
almost
个时候
like they
也是问
couldn't
题。
grow anymore. Then this is also a problem. Yeah. So the
它不是与
hair,
血液有关系吗？
because the hair
反映了
is
身体的
related
健
to
康程
the
度
blood,
对，
so it
我们现在尤其是指
indicates
脚上。
the health. Yeah. So
大家都
especially
看
on
你的脚上
our
的那个
feet.
对，就
Yeah.
是
So
说脚上的毛，你
everybody, you
人
can
人
check
头
your
发呢，
feet.
就到一定年龄，是
To
吧？
a
脱头发，尤其是
certain
男的
age,
比较
you
严
know,
重。我觉得
people
女
would
的一
lose
个是
hair,
得
especially
重
men.
病，第二个呢就是生孩子
For
的时候有
women,
很
they
多脱
lose
头发。
hair either when
但是
they
保养
have
不好之后
serious
头发还长出来。
illnesses, or
是的，
maybe
保养不好的话呢，生孩
maybe
脱掉的
after they
头发脱
deliver
掉
a
1/10 之
child.
一，
Yeah.
最后长不回来。
So if you
如
do
果这
not
个比如说产后风得
take
了之
care
后，
of yourself
那个掉头
after
发
they
能掉到
maybe
一
they will
半
lose
以上，或
10%
者
of
掉到
their
3分之
hair,
二
or and
都
then
可能。但是伤到
they
哪都有
cannot
呢？
grow back. And some
对，
people, when they
受伤了。
didn't
那我
look
们往
after
往要
themselves
意思
very
很
well, they
多
could
呀，
even
就
lose
是
half of
头
their
的
hair,
大
or
脚跟
even
二小
2/3
肚
of
的
their
毛，
hair.
还
And
是
so
说我
an
这
online
没
friend
毛
said,
儿，
"Oh,
啥事儿都有，现
是
在都在
指有毛是
oh,
正常，
somebody said that
是
they
指
had
你前
hair
后
on
对
the
比
first
有没
toe
有
and
注
the
意过，尤
second
其
toe,
大
the
脚
big
趾
toe
头
and
你
the
剪
second
指
toe."
甲总要看
And
到，是
somebody
吧？
said they had
哎，
no
你现在
they
这
have
个
no
毛是
hair
不是
at all.
还像之前那么旺盛？如果
But
旺盛，
just
恭喜你。
compare
就要看到精力充沛
when
的
you
毛
were
是好
young.
的。
对，
Is
就脚
this
上的毛
still the
啊
same
比
as
较强
before?
壮的，
Are
说
they
明你
still
的
very
气
strong?
还算是
When
足
the
的，
hair on the
这是好
feet
现
is
象，这
very
不是耻
strong,
辱，
it's
好吧？
actually not a
它和
shame.
美
It
容
is
是
a
两回
good
事儿哈。
sign. It has
好了，
not,
那就
well,
留
we're
着
not
它。
talking
留着
about pretty or not. Oh,
多
Christian
交
said,
话费。
okay. So we will just leave them on.
好，我们再接
And
着往
Grandmaster
下
said,
讲
yeah,
哈，
and fertilize it.
有很多问题呢哈，就是这个
All right.
刚才讲到这个
So
脚溃烂
we
啊，
talked about the
脚趾
feet.
头受伤之后就是容
After
易就是不
there's
愈
a
合
cut
啊，
or
不太容
something,
易
it's
好。
very hard to heal, like
嗯，
Mr.
对
Wong.
对
Yeah.
对，再接下来脚上呢还
And
有一个
next,
痒啊，刚
oh,
才我们讲痒的，
itchiness. Did we talk about itchiness? Yeah, yeah,
皮
yeah.
肤痒都讲
Yeah,
讲
we talked about the itchiness
还
of
有
the
呢，
skin.
再有的就是鸡眼啊，
Oh, and
鸡眼
also
其实你得不
corn.
得糖尿病都可能会长
Well,
鸡眼
whether
啊，
you have diabetes or
但
not,
是有
you
一个
could
东西呢是
grow corns.
呃
However,
有一个现象是
there's
皮肤容易干
a
裂，
symptom is for diabetes is that their skin can be very dry and can be easily cracked. I have an aunt who has diabetes, and the doctor told her that she has horns and So the doctor said, usually you can go to a doctor to sort of treat the corn, but diabetic people have to go to diabetic specialists to treat the corn because they cannot get infected. Yes. So if they have been confirmed of diabetes, if you had any injury or a cut, even though it is not about diabetes, but you always have to consult your diabetic specialist. And so everything, ever since you are confirmed with diabetes, you would have everything that you happen, you would have something to do. You always consider that you are a diabetes. So the way to treat needs to reconsider. And so another thing is about the nails. So there's a line on the nail. It's called a doctor's line. Oh, like a PhD line. Yeah. No, it's not. Oh, it's not. Oh, just a pronunciation, a boss line. Oh, it's probably called a boss line. So a doctor maybe named the boss and discover the line. Oh, Mr. Bo? So it's a horizontal line on the toe. It's like being cut by a knife. So this toe, you can see that there are two lines, very obvious. So it can happen on any toenails or fingernails. Toenails would be even more serious and more visible. And so this kind of lines, very few people have these lines. But if you have these lines, you need to go check. Have a checkup right away. And so it's different from having in the nails you have like a crescent in your fingernail. It's different, but this is like a cut line. Yes. Oh, it's Mr. Bo's line. And another thing is paronychia. So,
字面上理解就是它指甲那个沟沟缝缝里就容易发炎呐之类的哈。
Yeah, so this is very easy. Well, paronychia is that they are very easily to have infection. Yeah. Oh no. So these are paronychia.
So
the skins on the feet can become abnormal. So for serious diabetes, their skin of the feet can become very purple, or it could be any color. Can be reddish or purple, and could also have swelling feet and have a lot of marks and grayish color or purple color, or so these can all be possible. So a lot of the people who have diabetes, they have a lot of signs that would manifest on the feet. So if there anything happening on the feet, you need to be very careful and see if this is diabetes. So we'd like to remind everyone. All right. Next, let's do some investigations. Oh, let's see the statistics of diabetics among the world. Oh, so Joyce has a question. So there are over 10 symptoms. So if say for example, someone has itchiness on the skin and also night vision is very blurry, and so maybe they would suspect that they have diabetes. So how do they know if they have only one symptom? Does it mean that they have diabetes? Well, it depends on whether it is very serious. So including the Mr. Bo's line and also a lot of the paronychia, or maybe the nail is degenerated and worn out. And when these signs are very serious, usually people won't have these symptoms. Maybe it's just a little bit itchiness and you think that you are already diabetes. That's wrong. So sometimes it depends on the seriousness. So if you have the Mr. Bo's line, you'd really need to go and just have a check. So Christine said, can we understand this way? So maybe we should check these symptoms. And so if there's only one sign, like getting very tired, or maybe it's because you haven't slept well recently, but among these 10 symptoms, if you have 3 or even more symptoms, then you cannot just think, maybe it's just because I work overtime or didn't sleep well, and then now you need to remind yourself that maybe it has something to do with diabetes. And so at least, if it's not, then of course, that's great. But check earlier, at least it's better. If you know earlier, then you can start treating it earlier and take care of yourself earlier. So do not ignore these symptoms. So our online friends now all understood. And so Amy said, oh my gosh, my nails are like this too. So thank you, Grandmaster. Thank you, Master, for reminding us this. I probably will start a lifestyle with less sugar. So let's put that part, how to prevent or treat it in the future. But in this live stream, we talk about how to recognize, and if you have at least 3 of the symptoms, or the symptoms on the feet, if it's very serious, then at least you have at least 1 symptom very serious, then you need to check. And also you need to find your family history. And so an online friend said, he said he has 4 other siblings. All 4 other siblings has hyperglycemia, and so he's more likely. And so so another online friend said, before he thought diabetes wasn't a big issue, but now today, after hearing all these complications, he was quite frightened and he needs to be really careful. And so, so let's do one step after another, like peeling an onion. So let's find some data about diabetes. So diabetes is not only for you, it's for every one. So in the whole world, Joyce, maybe you can talk about it. In 1980, there are 108 million people, 108 diabetes. So in 2014, it's already 422 million diabetic. patients.
对，就更多了
So
呗。
it's
对，
already
因为还在
34
涨
years, and
每
it's
年都在
increased from
往上
108 to 422 million.
而
Yes.
且递增它有个趋势哈，就
And
是
also there's a
中低
trend.
收入的这个
Usually
国
for
家
those
它的那
low
个
or
增
median
长率就
income
更快
countries,
比那个发达国家增
the
长率快
increase
发达国
rate
家也
is
涨
much higher.
中低
In the
收入这个
developed
国家它涨
countries,
得
they
更快
also increase, but they
这
do
是个奇
not
特现象。
比
increase
如说就是
as
像哪
fast
些国
as
家
the
呢？像巴基斯坦呐、
developing
科威
countries
特
like
呀、埃及
Pakistan,
呀、苏
Kuwait,
丹
and
呐，
Egypt
就
and
这些国
Sudan.
家，对，它
Yeah.
也不是最富有的国家，
They
但是也都不错，中东
increase.
地区
Well,
的，
they actually are
哎
not.
但是就长得很快。
对，增长率很高。你看他
The
们，你看他
yeah
们增
they
长
they
到多少？巴
increase
基斯
so
坦
high. So in
有
Pakistan,
31%
they have
的人都患有糖
31%
尿病。
people who have
几乎形成于每一家好几个。
diabetes. It's
对呀。
like in every
3个
family
里头就
they
有
have
一个，科威特的是
quite a
25，
few
就
of
是
them. And in
25%，
Kuwait,
4个人里头就有一个。
25% of the people
对，
have
埃及是
diabetes. And
也差不
in
多。
Egypt,
21%，
you have
4人里头有一
21%.
个。
哦，
对，
And
真的够可怕了吧？
对，
嗯，
yeah, that's quite terrible.
这个是一个就是一
So
个是那个趋
this
势上增长
is
趋势上的。
the
那
trend
再一个呢，
for
我们
the
看一看
increase.
全世界各个
And
国家我们熟知的这
among
几个
all
国
the
家啊，
countries,
这
the
个糖
countries
尿
that
病
we
病患
are
率的比率，这个是
very
2021
familiar
年很
with
新的
in
数字啊。
对，
2021 in China, 11%.
就够高了
So
哈，
very
还
high,
行
right?
还行。
比
新加
比
坡
最高的好一些。
新
It's
加坡
lower than the highest
12%
one. In
新加坡
Singapore,
也还行。
12%.
这也叫还行。
Grandmaster
美
says
国
so.
11%
That's okay. In the
就
United
发达国
States,
家，新加坡跟
11%. This
美
is a
国这都
developed
是发达
country.
国家了。
Yeah.
对，
So
11%。
Singapore and the
他们
United
就是
States,
中
they're
不溜。
all developed
马来西
countries,
亚
and
19%
Malaysia 19%.
那生活很甜蜜哈。
Wow, grandmasters are very too
太
sweet.
掉到糖
这
尿病
个咋这么领先？
嗯，
对，
人家马来西亚光各
Well,
种的咖啡
Malaysia,
里头
like
多少糖啊？
Yeah, just think
对不
about
对？
their coffee.
想
They
方
put
设
so
法
much
推销
sugar.
各
Yeah,
种的甜咖啡。
they
而且
try
那
to
么
sell
多
all
水果
kinds
都
of
含
sweet
糖量
sugars,
很高。
sweet
自带水果
coffee, and they have a lot
然
of
后主食的话也是
tropical
白米
fruit
饭
that are
为
so
主。
sweet, and they also
还有
eat
很多国
mostly
家
white
哈，
rice.
他们喝那个茶，尤其是以
A lot of
印度、巴
people
基斯坦
they
为代
drink
表
those
哈，
tea like
中
in
东地区也一
India
样。
and
他
Pakistan
那
and
个
the
茶
Middle
里头
East.
放那个糖啊，
Their
特别
tea
的
they
多。
put
是，
so
还有缅
much
甸
sugar,
国家。
and in
是。
Myanmar too.
哎，它就是糖茶。
They
特别
have
甜。
this like
那咱们
sugary
加拿大
tea.
呢
Yeah. What about
8%
Canada?
哦，那好多
8%.
了。
哎，
Yeah.
还控制在10以内哈。
At
对
least it's
嗯
lower
韩
than
国
10%.
7%，
In Korea, it's
澳大利亚
7%.
6%，
Australia, it's 6%.
缅甸说是
Myanmar
7%，
said
我有点不相信。
7%. I don't
70%.
think, maybe 70%,
因为
Grandmaster
我们
said.
在那待过，
Yeah,
知道
because
那个
we've
太
been
厉
there.
害了。
Yeah, it's like
糖尿病已
so
经达
sweet.
到
Like diabetes are
像
like,
打预防针儿一样那么普及。
it's just like so
而
popular.
且国家
Yeah.
落后的话，这个数据统计也不精准啊。
Maybe
根
in
本就
some
没统计。
countries the statistics are not very accurate. Yeah, they
那
probably
有没有
didn't
就是
count
说在
everyone.
糖尿病这个
And
比例
so
当中
in
还算是
these
模范生的
percentage,
国家呀？
are there
有。
any countries who
这
are
主要是
very
以西欧、北欧的几个国家
very
为主。
who
欧洲国家。
does very well in
Yeah.
diabetics?
Yeah.
Oh, like West Europe, North Europe. Actually, they are
它的
very
科技、文化、
yeah.
政治上的更。
They really care
发达
about
一些。
health and diet, and
哎，
yeah,
他们
their
开始很注意。
science and technology are
比较
also very
保护一些。
对，
advanced,
那
and
看
they
一下
start
像
to
卢森
look
堡
after
啊
them.
欧洲
Like
的国家哈是
Luxembourg
6%，
is 6%.
那这个比韩国还低哈。
It's
跟澳大利
even
亚
lower
一样
than
吧。瑞
Korea.
典
And
5%，
Sweden is 5%.
4%
Norway is 4%.
真的是
It's a country
爱尔兰
in North
3%，
Europe, and Ireland
对
only
记得看到
3%.
哈
Oh,
像
so
冰岛
low.
啊、格陵
And
兰啊
Iceland
哎
and
都是
Greenland,
2%、3%
they are like 2 or
那
3%.
几乎不吃糖。
Oh, maybe they
可能是
don't
人
even
家这个
have
这个
candy
饮
or
食
sugar
相
at
对健
all.
康
Yeah, so they have
奇怪
very
我的认知当中总觉得
very
吃
good
糖
diet.
是为
Oh,
比方说
so Christine said, I
冷啊，
thought
所以我们
like
在很多食物里要加糖，
because it's
让
very
它
cold, so we
更
need
甜
to
更
add
更有
sugar
口感
so
哈
that
你看
yeah.
其实真正的吃糖
But
少的
actually,
这些国家
these cold
热
countries,
带地
yeah,
区你看马来西
they
亚
eat
啦，
less
我们那
sugar.
个
But
中东那
in
些地区都
tropical
很热
area
嘛，
like
对不对？
Malaysia and
反
Middle
而
East
是
are very
反而是
hot.
这个高发
However,
地区
they
是
have
寒
very
冷
high
对
percentage
缅
of
甸、缅甸呐、印度
diabetes,
这些
and
都
in
是
Myanmar and
颠
India,
覆
yeah.
了我原
So this statistic actually, Christine said, is opposite to what I imagined. And so, Sweden and Norway, they are very famous for their chocolate. However, their diabetic rate is very low, so they control. They're very self-disciplined. They sell the sugar to other countries, and Malaysia probably is also rich in the cane sugar, or maybe the sugar is very cheap. And so Christine said, I found that there in some countries that their food are more natural, like Northern Europe. They don't really care about cuisines. They really, the Grandmaster say, really care about their diet so that they are like this. So they always care about their diet. Well, I'm a poor people, so I always try to eat all kinds of food, and so that's maybe that's why lower income countries or medium income countries, they have more diabetes. And so in China, when we drink water, I think, oh, just pure water, that's too cheap. So we definitely at least have some Coke, and you think that, oh, this is more expensive and it has pulp. So when so some people, when they choose food, they want food that's more delicious or tastes better. So it's not like they are very picky in good food, like they can have enough calorie or enough proteins, and so they will choose the high protein, high calorie would have high sugar, high cholesterol, high fat, and high lipid. Also, the Northern European countries, I remember that they really love exercises. They like hiking, they like cycling, they have and you see that they have very few diabetic people, so they have more people are very fit. They're very tall and thin. A lot of people are tall and thin. Well, Grandmaster said I didn't pay attention to their figures, but these numbers definitely show something. They have been developed for a long time, so they understand. And they are also very well educated, and therefore they choose very healthy diet, and so they also they're very keen on exercises. So that's why they always keep low sugar, low fat, and low oil diet. And another statistic show that diabetes is the number 9 leading factor to cause death. And so it's so when it causes death, it's usually before 70 years old, so it definitely affect the mobility rates. And diabetes also caused other diseases and even caused death. And so just diabetes directly cause 1.5 million deaths. So directly caused by diabetes. Wow, this is a very high, very big number. Directly caused by diabetes. So diabetes was the 9th leading cause of death, and so there are lots of people who has diabetes. Either they have already had diabetes or are very prone to diabetes. And therefore, diabetes can cause other complications like what we mentioned about the visions, so eye disease, right? Would it affect a kidney disease? Oh, yes, because diabetes is included in the kidney system. Yeah. So when it causes serious kidney problem, the hemodialysis is a very terrible thing. The three highs, the high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood sugar, yeah, so they actually interfere with each other. They actually can affect each other. So high lipid is actually like the fatty liver, high blood pressure, and hyperglycemia. Yeah, they will. If there's one high, then may cause the other two or also get higher. So if you ever had diabetes, it can cause maybe heart disease and can even trigger stroke and cause death, and can cause kidney disease. And if it causes kidney failure, then it will lead to death. And therefore, so the complications of diabetes is quite terrible. And also on the skin is really terrible caused by diabetes, And so before Grandmaster, you talked about how to protect our heart and liver. And so if anyone has heart disease, it's already terrible enough. But for diabetes, those who actually they actually increased the possibility of having heart disease. It would be 2 or 3 folds of the possibility of heart disease. And so it's not just diabetes. It can cause cardiovascular disease and kidney disease or even other disease. And so and there's another statistic. Diabetic people, when they have cerebral infarction, they would cause 12 times more. They can cause 12 times more cerebral thrombosis. And so Grandmaster says diabetes will cause the degeneration of your whole body and can cause any kind of disease. And so Christine said just now, the diabetic patient, if he has cerebral infarction, and so people would think that he died of cerebral thrombosis, but they probably won't think that, oh, he's died of diabetes. And however, this bomb is actually diabetes. It's actually because of the hyperglycemia that caused these cerebral thrombosis. Yeah. So we really need to take care. I remember once I walked with another lady. She was only like 4 or 5 years older than me. She was only like 48 years old at the time. We were just doing some winter shopping, and suddenly she collapsed on the ground, and I was so terrified, and I didn't dare to even touch her. Now I know that, now I learned from Grandmaster, I know, okay, I can pinch that 人中 acupoint and 合谷 acupoint, but at that time, I didn't know what to do. And she was closing her eyes and clenching her teeth, and I didn't know what to do. And so I called 911, and then the emergency people came, and then so eventually she woke up, and so they asked her what happened. And she felt like a kind of dizziness caused by hypoglycemia. And usually we think the low blood pressure, you just need to You just need to take some, candy or sugar. And so she suddenly had a shock. And so the emergency people said, did you had any history, and so she said, oh, she had diabetes. And so I thought, oh, how come diabetes means high blood pressure, right? But she had that shock caused by low blood pressure. So this diabetes is very, strange. Diabetes is not always high blood sugar. It can even cause low blood sugar, the hypoglycemic shock. Yeah, so it's probably because after the meal, maybe the blood sugar will go up very dramatically, and then when she was very tired, and then the blood sugar will go down also dramatically. So they need to have meals very regularly. If they do not have regular meals, they would suddenly have dizziness or shock. So next time if you go shopping with her, then you need to go have some meal first, maybe have a lunch or dinner first. And so from this, I suddenly realized that diabetes is not that simple. It can cause shock. And so it was good that Christine was beside her. But if she was by herself, then, oh no. And what if she was driving? Oh, so a lot of the car accident was not intentionally, maybe it was because somebody suddenly had a heart attack, or maybe a shock caused by diabetes. And it was a long time ago in Liaoning, in province, in Dalian. It was a young, well, actually not that young, was he was over 40 years old, and he was doing some seafood business. I think one day he was driving home. He was very, he was very rich at the time already, so he bought a house by the ocean, and so he was driving, and when he was taking a turn, he needs to slow down, right? But when he was taking the turn, but suddenly he felt like he lost his right leg. But when he touched his leg, his leg was still there, but he just don't have any sensations on the right leg, and so he used his left foot and left leg to use the brake. Yeah, and so this whole leg was very heavy and couldn't even move, and as if the leg has nothing to do with him. Yeah. So he wasn't able to brake the car. He was trying very hard to brake the car, and then he tried to use the car to scratch the mountain, so that because he was driving on the mountain, so he was trying to use the friction from the side of the mountain to stop the car. Oh my gosh, this is so dangerous. The person who drove behind him was a very kind person. So the person who drove behind him stopped his car and checked him and called the emergency. And when he was sent to the hospital, the doctors didn't know what was it. And so when he was sent to the hospital, he still didn't have any sensations on the left leg. And so the doctors has never seen such symptoms, and therefore the doctor said, so this is a new kind of disease. So the doctor didn't know what to prescribe for him, and because they didn't know the cause of the disease. So what did the doctor say? What kind of disease it was? The doctor just didn't know. So when we watched the movies, we saw that there's a kind of disease similar to this. It's called myasthenia, which is similar to this. So when he tried to find me to help, I I suspect that it has something to do with diabetes because his mother has diabetes. Is it because that he has that diabetic effect and affected his brain cells or brain nerves? Maybe. However, we talked about diabetes sometimes can affect our sensations and even lose sensations. It's just like the vision can start to be weak and then completely lose the vision. And so, yeah, and the diabetes can, probably numb the nerves. I couldn't be sure about his diabetes because his blood sugar wasn't very high. So this is just a symptom, and it happened before. So. When you have these symptoms, you need to be careful. So how to be careful? First, go to see a doctor and start some medical treatment. And we talked about some complications of diabetes. At the beginning, Grandmaster, you talked about Mr. Wang. He only amputated his toe. He was luckier than a lot of other people. Some people even had amputation of their legs. And so, actually, they also have a term called diabetic foot. Yeah. So at the end, they could be like the Mr. Wang. At the end, their feet could be very dark and swelling, and it was like completely the blood flow is blocked or didn't go through, and so they have to amputate. And some diabetes, even after amputation, they still died. Yes.
这个是往脚那一块的发展，哎呀，真的是不忍心看。
Oh no. And also, Grandmaster, you talked about the vision loss. And so our online friend actually left a comment. He said his father-in-law had diabetes and he cannot see anymore. It was diabetes cause blindness. Actually, every year there will be 1 million people who suffer from blindness because of diabetes. I remember there was a grandma, my neighbor. She used to be like a little bit overweight, and she was very kind, and her grandchildren are very respectful and kind. And so sometimes I saw her, but for a long time I couldn't see her, and so I asked how was her, and so her son said, "Oh no, not very good," and she got blind, and so she went to do a surgery and see if the vision can be saved. And I didn't know what was the result. And I said also, if the grandma couldn't see anymore, she wasn't able to look after herself. So then her and also her legs are also had the ulcer. You don't even need to cut the skin. The skin will by itself have ulcer, and she wasn't able to get to get up the stairs, and so her children need to come to her because she cannot go anywhere. And so they have to go to her house to look after her. There's another kind of complication is for infertility. So diabetes can also affect the reproductive system for pregnant women. When they have serious diabetes, they could have miscarriage, or maybe like the baby can born with defects, or maybe premature baby. So both the mother and the baby could have problems. So yeah, so it could affect the reproduction. Yeah. And another complication of diabetes, and a lot of people die of this, is kidney disease. So this is diabetic kidney disease, and it will eventually lead to kidney failure. So they would say, oh, this person died of kidney failure, but it was caused by diabetes. And so this is really too terrible.
所以的话，与这个糖尿病，也许擦肩而过的，也许容易产生糖尿病的
，those people who are just about to have diabetes or are more prone to diabetes. Let's see what kind of people might be prone to diabetes. So first of all, those people who are overweight. So
我们对身材的胖瘦高矮，这是个自然的，我们都是很欢迎哈。但是现在只是说健康。
We're just so we
一个是肥胖和运动少的。
We're just talking about what kind of people are more prone to the disease. We welcome anyone, but just overweight can be more likely to have diabetes. And another possibility is people who have already had high blood pressure, high blood sugar, and high cholesterol. Yeah, of course, high blood pressure is already probably diabetes. And if you have high blood pressure and high cholesterol, this can also cause hyperglycemia. And it doesn't mean that, if you only have one of the highs, maybe you just have high blood pressure or you just have high cholesterol, then you need to be very alerted and you need to be very careful, because the blood sugar would be very easily exceeding the normal. And also for people who have the genetic cause, so if your family, in your family history, you have only one person, whether it is older than you or just in the same generation, as long as there's only one person who have diabetes, then you need to be careful. Almost any disease can pass down the genes. Yes. So just like our appearance, right? Our appearance would be either carried down from the mother or from the father or both. And so this disease would be similar. It won't be exactly the same. Maybe your parents or grandparents, maybe they have asthma, maybe you have lung cancer. So it has something to do with that. Yeah. Just now I've seen an online friend who left a comment. He has he has the family history of diabetes, and so all his siblings after 50 years old, then they all had diabetes. So Christine said, is it always after a certain age then this can occur? So maybe Joy said usually after 45 or maybe after 40. The younger, the less possibility of diabetes. So what is the root cause of diabetes? So generally speaking, it's because of it has something to do with your vital energy.
就是你的整个你的五脏六腑的
All
能
your
量都变得亏虚
five
虚弱的时候，
your internal
那么
organs,
邪气
if
病
they're
气
all
就会显
very
示出来。
weak,
就是这
then
样
all these
永远都是这样。
illnesses and evil, not
你
evil,
这
but
个你的身体弱了吗？
yeah,
那什么时候开始
the
弱呢？
illnesses might appear if
40
your
以后。
body becomes weaker. When do you get weaker?
才说
Usually
为什么刚才
after
说的
40 years
这
old,
三
right?
高相
And
互
so
影
that's
响
why
它这个
the
身体
three
整个
highs
机
will
能弱了
affect each
它心
other.
脏功
Will
能、肝脏功能、
yeah,
肾
if
脏功
one
能、
high
脾胃可能都
would
跟着弱，
cause,
所以
you know,
就是
the
导致脂肪肝也会
kidney
引起
or
糖尿病，
liver.
糖尿病又会引起高血压，它就
Yeah,
变成相互影
maybe
响。
the fatty liver
对，
will
就是
cause
身体综合
diabetes,
的
and diabetes
功能的
cause
弱。
high blood pressure,
对。
and
这
so
个说的
it
真的很
can
在意，
对。
不是单
interfere
一
with
器
each
官的问
other.
题。
So it's not just affect one
除
organ.
了说有些病必
And
须
so
是儿
Grandmaster
童时期要
says,
得的啊，确实有些属于儿童有儿童的病。
besides those
当作为一个
illnesses
真正
that
成
can
年人之
cause
后容易
by
得病的时
even
期，
children. So for
通常就是
adults,
中年以后。
usually
一般来说
after
大约
middle
40岁。
age, say for example after 40
加
years
上你
old,
这个
it's
生
more
活的
likely to
方式
start having
容易
different
得这
kinds
种
of
病的时
disease
候，
if your
那它就高风险。
lifestyle or your if you're very prone
所
to
以就是
that,
一
then
开
you
始
might
师傅讲的那一个
get
十
that
十
disease.
来
And
个那
so
个
Joy
症状
said
啊很重要，
the
尤其我们过40岁的
10 or
朋友
over
啊，
10
自己要
symptoms that
经常
Grandmaster
来对
mentioned
照
at the
一下。
beginning.
如果你有
It's
3
very
个以上
important.
或
So
者是指甲
anybody
等等那
who's
些很
after
重
your
要
middle
的，或者
age, you
是
need to
3多
check
一
all
检，
these
就是有
symptoms.
这个重
Yeah.
要现象的时
So
候，
these
先
very
去查一查。
important
对，
symptoms you
3
need
多
to
1少是最典型的糖尿
the
病的这
the
个症状啊，所以
3
我们一定要注
mores
意观
and
察
one
自己
less,
身
like
体的
eat
反
more,
应。
drink more, urinate
这个
more, but
尿是不是尿
lose
多啊，
weight.
是不
This
是
is
喝
one
水
of the
多
most
呀？
important
就是
symptoms.
这样的
Yeah.
情况。
对，我
So
们讲到了那么多哈，
so
十
we
几条。
talked
大
over
家可以对
10
照哈。
symptoms. You
是。
can
对，
check
你看我们的网
yourself.
友已经开
A
始
lot of our
写给
online
我们
friends are
了。
already
那个
writing to
相吉
us.
说，
And Xiangji said,
他说我这个左脚
"Oh,
的小脚
my
趾头
left
有1/4的
toe,
指甲有
1
灰黑
quarter
色，
of the
已经好多
toenail
年了。
is
还有一
already
条凸起
grayish
的
and
竖线，
dark. It's already many
啊，
years,
还
and
有
there's a
连
vertical
续2
line
周，最近2 周
bulging,
这个
and
手发麻，
the these 2
并且
weeks
还很严
and
重，
he felt
5个
numbness
手指
in
都
the
会麻木，
hands, and it's very
手
serious.
八卦时还
All
会疼痛。
5
他说
fingers
妈
are
妈
very
和
numb,
哥哥
and
都
when
有
he
糖尿
was
病史，你看，
when
你
he
看又
was
是家
walking
族
energy
家族史。
bagua, it's very
嗯，
painful.
他现在听
And
我们
so
讲这
his
些症
mother
状，他
and
也
his
很害怕。
elder
你害怕
brother
是对
had
的，
diabetes, so
就
he
怕你
felt
不怕，
very
对
frightened.
不对？
Well,
你
it's
旁
good
边
that
你
you
的家
now
人
are
多数人都是糖
frightened.
尿病，你能够幸免吗？
The worst
那
thing
怎么
is
办
that
呢？
oh,
就
you
想
know
方设
your
法采取
family
措
members
施。
they have diabetes and
对，
you
就怕
don't
说旁边死了，哎，我什么事
care,
儿？
don't
他
take
病倒
care.
与我什么关系？其实大健康是人人都有关系的。
Actually, health, yeah, it's very important for everyone.
哦，还有一位金灿灿网友说，
Another
师
Jin
傅，
Can
我
Can
姥
said,
爷
"Oh,
是糖
Grandmaster,
尿病，
my
最后是糖尿病综合症往生的。
grandfather had
我老
diabetes
舅
and
也有糖尿病
also
症
died
状，
of the
我姑
complication
姥爷
diabetes.
糖尿病，我
And
小
my
舅也是糖尿病，
uncle
现在
and
眼睛已
my
经看不见了。
yeah,
所以
several
像这样的情
uncles
形，这样的
also
家
had
庭真
diabetes.
的
So
成
this
员都有可能是
many
糖尿病的
members of the
高
family
危
had
人
diabetes,
群，
so they
一定
are very
很重视。
risky group of
是
people that
很多
very
网友
prone
现在
to
有的是来不及
diabetes.
写啊，来不
So
及写，
some
就是写字
online
能力
friends
大丰
maybe
富地看
they
自己的脚了哈。
they're
对，
probably just
那我
checking
们
their
不断地
feet. They're
收到
not
大家的问题
writing.
哈。
We
有
continue
一个
to
吉
receive
北他说
questions.
我
Jibei
太
said,
急了，
"Oh,
这个真
I'm
想
so,"
让
he
那
he
些
said,
得
he's
糖
so
尿病的人赶
anxious.
紧
I
来走八
really
卦哈。
want
就
everybody
他
to
们那个
come
八
and
卦
walk
点儿呢，
energy
他
bagua.
说有2
And
个
their
有
energy
2个这个
bagua
糖尿
practice
病的人
point,
哈，
they had
走了这
2
个半年的八卦之后就不
diabetic
用打胰岛素了。
practitioners. After walking 6 months, they don't need to use insulin anymore. Yeah, energy bagua is really so effective
八
at the
卦呀，快走八卦呀，就
yeah. So when we're talking about the diabetic symptoms, all our online friends are writing, "Oh, go walk bagua, go walk
你看
energy
有个刚
bagua."
流出来的哈，这个
Just
金
now,
志在说，
Jin
他说
Zizai
吧
said,
我
"Oh,
这个
Grandmaster, I'm
38就是
30.
38岁吧，
I'm 38. A few years ago, in a checkup, I had hyperglycemia. So before the glycemic level was 8.3. Now it's all normal. he was less, he was even younger than 40. He was like getting that even younger. So it could be genetic reasons, but also it could be because of your lifestyle. So Christine said, I like to discuss everyone so diabetic. It's not one person is very unlucky and then you just got it. Actually, diabetes is caused by diet. It can cause the whole family, not just one person. Yeah, because the whole family will eat the same food, right? The same diet. If you like very sweet food, the whole family would have very sweet food. And then another online said, oh, her husband actually got 5 of the symptoms, and yeah. So she was very angry, but no, Grandmaster, don't be angry. And yeah, it's not somebody who gave you the disease, right? Unless it's from your ancestors, well, you can't do anything about it. So you need to find ways to deal with it. And Wang Dajun said that, oh, after my mother walked energy bagua, yeah, he's after walking energy bagua, her mother get well again and also gain weight. Yeah, and another online friend said, oh, if the toe is bulging or pointy, so is it a serious thing? So Grandmaster says, sure, yes, of course. When there's something abnormal, this could be either, yeah, at least one of the 3 highs. Like if it's not diabetes, yeah, if the toe is very thick and also is pointing, then I really suspect that your blood vessel is blocked. So yeah, so Grandmaster is giving us a lot of reminders. And Jinjing said, hello, Grandmaster. Thank you, Grandmaster. All of these knowledge about liver and diabetes are so practical. A lot of people have these problems. And she said her husband also have high blood lipid, high blood pressure. And after Grandmaster said this, now her husband stopped drinking alcohol. Every 2 weeks will check the blood sugar, even though yesterday, even though there are still higher ones, but they have already come down a lot. Yeah, and so this is really helping and saving lives. And so Grandmaster says, now I record. Everybody who knows me well know that I don't have good memory. I suddenly remember that in my childhood, I have a neighbor in Qinghai province. They have a daughter who's 2 or 3 years older than me, and we are about 20 meters apart, our 2 homes. But unfortunately, we lived together for so many years. But suddenly, their daughter died at 16 or 17 years old because of diabetes. Oh my gosh, at such a young age. Was she very overweight? No. So Grandmaster said, I remember the girl when she just had diabetes, I remember she was very thin, has a very thin face. Yeah, like a yellowish pale face. And after 3 years, she died. And when she died, she was even younger than 17 years old. And ever since then, her mother was almost crazy. It's so sad. Yeah, I suspect that this child, it has nothing to do with exercise, because in those years, every child would run. Yeah. So these young people having diabetes, so there are two types of diabetes. There's type 1 and type 2 diabetes. So let's, the most common ones are type 2 diabetes. So it's because of their diet, or maybe they always like very sweet diet, or so they can cause type 2 diabetes. And type 1 diabetes mostly come from genetic reasons. So this kind of diabetes, they can happen on very young children, because they haven't started to intake a lot of sugar, but it's probably caused by their genes. So I suspect that Grandmaster, your neighbor, probably had the type 1 diabetes. So it's because of their family history for such a young girl to lose her life at such a young age. We were all very, very sad. And ever since then, her whole family was like shocked. I've never seen her mother ever walk with straight back. And it was such a big shock for them, and it's a huge disaster for them. So Christine said, so the diet that caused the diabetes, I mean, not genetic reasons, but just because of, yeah, is it mostly because of sugar intake? Yeah, so it's just like if you take too much, sugar, then it's very likely to have diabetes. Yeah, in Malaysia, they have very high percentage, 19% of diabetic occurrence. Yeah, so our online friends commented that they like la tea and milk tea. They have a lot of sugar in the tea. As Indian religion and Muslims, they like in the Middle East, starting from maybe around Turkey. The west of Turkey would be Europe. Do Europeans like sweet tea, especially Italians? Their coffee, Americans like very bitter coffees, but Italians would put like sugar and cream, and then it would be very, tasty. So it's very sweet and fragrant, right? And so that's in Europe. And another line from Turkey will go to Asia, maybe spread to along the Islamic religion. They like la tea, they put lassi. Okay. Even in Myanmar, yes, they put a lot of sugar in the tea. Yeah, in Malaysia, they also like this kind of tea, and they have a lot of very sweet tropical fruit. What about Middle East? Do they like sweet? Yeah, all their desserts. Yeah, Middle East people, when they when they give presents, they will always have something sweet, and their so their dates and their raisins are very, very sweet. Yeah. So in the desert area, their fruits are very, very sweet. When they have less juice, they have a lot of sugar inside. And what about the fruits in Taiwan? And even the vegetable in Taiwan, like the bitter gourd is even sweet, yes, in Taiwan. And we like the cabbage in Taiwan. It's really very sweet. It tastes good. and those tomatoes are sweet. That's why Taiwan people they have very good figures like the potato, sweet potato or yam. And yeah, so when they walk, those students would have to carry very heavy backpacks. Yeah.
所以
就得多吃点甜的，得壮实点儿。
对，所以最后很多人说干脆不背书包了，直接
So
把
a lot
这
of
个书
people
包塞
say
肚子里去，
they
是吧
don't want
拼命
to.
吃。
Anyways, it's just a joke. They eat a lot, and so Taiwan people, if they are not careful, then they will very easily to get overweight. And so those slimming medicines would be very easy to sell. And so they say, oh, the reason not to be able to lose weight is because of the food, because all these snacks and the food in Taiwan are so yummy. If you eat too much, then definitely you will gain weight.
吃主食特别多。
刚才有个网友正在问，他说他吃素会不会有利于这个糖尿病？
online asked that is a vegetarian diet helpful with diabetes? Master says, okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about some food that is low in sugar. What food are low in sugar? Before we have introduced you to oats, to rolled oats, and that is low in sugar.
除糖尿病的这个饮食呢，其实和对治这个
Diets for diabetes, diets recommended for diabetes is very similar, almost exactly the same as the diet recommended for people who have cardiovascular disease and the three highs. So low sugar, low salt, and low grease, low fat. And so we recommend many so many cities and even villages are urbanized, and so it's very difficult to find milled grains like the ones milled traditionally, and so people just buy rice and flour from the markets. And so traditional food like whole grain food or brown rice, it's a little bit brown in color. It still has the bran on the rice. And this is better, and there's less sugar, and also some unrefined grains like oat. Like oat or buckwheat. And also in China, many people are talking about this type of green.
对，那个中文叫啥？反正就是咱们讲那个
We've introduced it when we talked about cardiovascular illness, and it's called 藜麦。Quinoa. And Zhizhen says that I remember after President Clinton had a cardiac surgery, he was recommended by his doctor to have a vegetarian diet and eat a lot of quinoa. And so Master says, so one of them is brown rice, oat, and also quinoa. And these are very good grains with less sugar. Also, legumes. Do you think legumes will work? So beans, as long as it's a moderate amount, you can mix them together and eat. So these can make up your food staples. Many people, we say that we need to eat a lot of vegetable, but some people say that even though I'm eating a lot of vegetable, it doesn't feel right. It's like if you don't eat any grain, you just don't feel full. people who likes to eat carbohydrates, they have to eat some carbohydrate or starch to feel that they are full, and that's why they have to follow this habit, and that's why we need to choose these foods with carbohydrates wisely, and that's why we recommended oat and quinoas, and also cucumber, broccoli, celery, and tomatoes. These are low in sugar, and also maybe winter melon, Jue recommended. You can find a lot of these information online, and also many soy products. So Uli recommends that if you have kidney issues, then you need to be careful when you're eating soy products. And when you have diabetes, you have to be very careful of what you eat. Some people, they have high blood sugar, but their kidneys are okay. Then you can eat soy. Soy products are good source of high quality protein. Anything else? And fruits. You can also eat low sugar fruits. For example, apples. Apples, although they are sweet, but they are more balanced. Lychee has a lot of sugar content. Master says, I remember eating guava in Taiwan, and it's not very sweet. It's not very, it's white and it's not very sweet. Taiwanese loves to eat this fruit, and they love to sprinkle some plum powder on top of it. And so it's guava. Guava is just bland. And it's low in sugar. And also lemon. Lemon is very sour. Once you accept this taste, it's very good for you. It's high in vitamins too. What about kiwi? Is kiwi low in sugar? Jijun says, I'm not sure, I need to search it. But the green kiwis, the kiwis that are green inside is very sour, and the yellow ones are very sweet. The green kiwis has a lot of vitamins. And also grapefruit. I read it online that some people say grapefruit is low in sugar. Yes, it's good for weight loss too. These are Chinese grapefruit. These are Chinese yuzu, and there's also grapefruit. Taiwanese yuzu is very tasty. Almost all food contains sugar, even millet. For example, many grains contains sugar because they are primarily made of carbohydrates, and it's transformed, metabolized into sugar in our body. So the friend says that does a vegetarian diet can help us to avoid diabetes? It really depends on how you eat it. Many people who are vegetarian, they can develop diabetes too. It's because they don't know what type of diet they should have. When you have diabetes, you might ask, what type of food is low in sugar? Then there's not very much choices, and also you have to be careful that you can't have rice and wheat flour food every meal. and you can have two teraglassy in between the meals. You can, when you're happy, and then eat another piece of cake. And also, if there's a lot of cream on the cake, it's high in fat and sugar. And if you are and if you eat a piece of cake, then you need to exercise for a week. What about bitter melon? Can we eat something that we can eat something to get rid of the extra fat in our body? What can we eat to get rid of that sugar, extra sugar in our body? Master says in regular diet, I think bitter melon is good. It can help. The next thing is celery. I didn't look into it. And also kale. We talked about kale the other day. Kale should be good for it too. I need to think about it. For people who have diabetes, there's a Chinese saying that when you are always ill, then you become a doctor yourself. They will know what to eat and what to avoid. I remember I went to eat with my colleague, and she could tell me that, oh, this thing contains a lot of sugar, and we couldn't eat it. And so people who have diabetes, they become very good at it. But they are not the best method to control diabetes. The best way is actually to prevent it in the first place. So if we talk about prevention, then first thing is that we need to eat healthy food and eat less unhealthy food. And when we started to talk about cardiovascular illness, fatty liver, and then until lipids today. Many of our recommendations are very similar. For example, whole grains, vegetables, and eat less food with eat food less in sugar. And I think it's too extreme to completely avoid sugar, and maybe just control how much carbohydrates you eat and control refined grains. Some people might say that, oh, I don't eat any rice anymore. I will just eat a lot of corn. But in Canada, corn is very sweet. It's like a fruit. It's very tasty. The corns, you can, it's very sweet. It's like a fruit. Zhen says, when our ancestors ate corn, it was still a good food. It was, but nowadays many corns are genetically modified, and it's not good for you. But a lot of the food that we have today are genetically modified. And so the time has changed. So now some people, they want to sell corn that you can eat raw like a fruit. And so these types of corns are high in sugar. Usually people who have diabetes, they will eat a lot of buckwheat noodle, and that is low in sugar. But once you develop diabetes, your choices of food is limited. So that's why we want to prevent it, Uli says, just so that we don't have to get to that state. And also Master said that we have to exercise more. We can't only exercise after we eat some food. So today, first we talked about signs of diabetes or pre-diabetes, and many people are leaving messages online. it does sound scary before because we didn't know about it. That's why we're not scared of it. But just because you're not scared, it doesn't mean that it will not happen. It's like that Mr. Wang, who when he gets to the hospital, he has to be amputated. The later he goes, the more of his limbs will need to be amputated. And it's very scary. So his wife, I didn't tell you about his wife yet. So Mrs. Wang had Parkinson's, and the doctor said that there's no good solution. One of the doctor's relatives practice energy bagua, and it's very effective. And so the doctor recommended Mrs. Wang to learn energy bagua from us. After working energy bagua for a year, his Parkinson got better, and that's why he brought Mr. Wang to come and work energy bagua. And now Mr. Wang doesn't need insulin injections anymore. But it's a pity that he lost a toe already. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Wang works energy bagua every day at 5 a.m. in the park. They will work every day, 365 days a year. They will not miss a day. They will only add one more round of bagua. And no matter what the weather is, they will work energy bagua in the park. And they truly benefited. That's why they don't want to stop. And they say that they are more energetic. They're stronger than their son. Sometimes if they need to move something, if they go for grocery shopping, the son will say, "Oh, it's so heavy, it's tired. Let's rest a little before we go." And Mrs. Wang says, "Oh, I can take it myself." So Mr. Wang doesn't need to have insulin injection anymore. And they're just working energy bagua every day. We know that many people who have benefited, they are all leaving messages, work energy bagua, work energy bagua. It helps with diabetes. And I also want to remind our online friends, there's one more thing to be careful with, and that is to stop drinking and smoking. And that is very important. So when we talked about heart health and liver health, it's the same. Stop smoking and drinking. Some people, Master also recommends that you need to stop using drugs, using recreational drugs, like marijuana. And it's very harmful to our body. Changzi says, my big toe, 1/3 of my big toe has necrosis, and after working energy bagua, I have recovered healthy toes. He didn't say how long he has worked energy bagua. I trust he probably worked for over a year to recover. It's not his big toe, it's his the big toenail. And after working energy bagua, one of severe illness will disappear. For example, blood clot in the brain, and the big toe represents the brain too. Master, the nail on my second toe becomes sicker, and the doctor says that I have cerebral ischemic stroke, and he has high blood sugar and also love to eat sugar, and she said that, "Oh, I will stop eating sugar now." Master says, many girls like to eat sugar. You don't know how dangerous it is. In this world, sugary things are the most dangerous. When you're giving something sweet, you're happy, but it's very dangerous. So don't be so happy when you see a piece of cake. see the cake as your enemy and don't get close to it. Some people, they are really good at cooking. The cake that they make are like artworks. And many girls, when they see these cakes, they'll stand there and just look at it. They have to take one with them. After eating that piece of cake, how much it's like eating a huge piece of fat. How long does it take for you to digest all that fat? Jurgen says, I think it's related to women's genes. Women just likes to eat sweets. They look for sweet experience. Many women might say that, oh, although I'm wrong, I want to eat something sweet to comfort myself. Wuli says, when I'm unhappy, I want to eat a piece of sweet cake so that I can feel better. Some people say that, Master, if I have genetic hereditary diabetes, is there anything that can help me? There's no medicine. You can try energy bagua. If you have other good methods, you can try it out. But I can only recommend energy bagua. But I cannot promise you that once you start working, you will be healed. But I hope that you can come online and read our stories. How many people have gotten better after working energy bagua? Many people wrote online is recommending me that about a food that is helpful, and it is okra. Okra is it's a vegetable. It looks like a green pepper. Many Japanese people love to eat okra, and Jurgen says it's beneficial to the stomach. Jurgen says, I recommend our online friends, if you have these signs, symptoms, and if you are taking any medicine, you need to ask your doctor what you can eat. Many people, some people say that if you are taking a certain type of medication, you need to be careful about eating pomelo or grapefruit. And so pomelo, grapefruit is a fruit that's low in sugar, but when you're taking some medication, you need to be careful of what you're eating. So you have to be careful and be aware of it yourself. I know that grapefruit, if you are taking anti-inflammatory medication, you cannot eat these grapefruit. And I want to recommend our friends, if you are healthy and they want to eat a lot of they eat meat. If you're eating meat, I want to recommend you not to eat any animal heads, neck, organs, or some people like to eat pig intestines, pig blood, pudding. In some Cantonese people say that if you eat pig brain soup, then you will nourish your own brain. And some people, if you really want to have better brain health, then you need to eat walnuts. If you're eating pig brain, then you are. It's a joke. You think that if you eat pig brain, you will get more intelligent, but if pigs are intelligent, they won't be killed by humans. Some people are not very wise, so remember to eat healthy food, exercise more, and I can't say just be broad-minded. Maybe after today, after listening to the content today, you can't just have a broad mind. There's an online friend who said that there are many people in his home who has diabetes, and they are not doing anything about it, and they're just relaxed doing whatever they want. But we can't do that. Master says, I need to look into everything, and my research results, I will talk to you about those tomorrow. Zhezhen says, I'll call all my friends to join. Master says, don't call so many people. What if you have to just come on time? Maybe walk energy bagua before you come. So this illness is like a ghost. If it's a ghost, some people can help you to get rid of the ghost. But diabetes is more like a shadow. Once you have it, it's very difficult to get rid of it. If you read the comments online now, you will see many people leaving messages. Some people might say that these messages are fake, but you can visit our energy bagua practice points around the world. Our energy bagua is different from energy our energy bagua is different from martial arts bagua. Martial art bagua practitioners will say that, oh, you are practicing it with the wrong movement. But no, our energy bagua is different. Our energy bagua brings health. And so if you go to the energy bagua points and talk to these practitioners, you will see that many people have regained good health. And through a combination of methods from healthy foods and some remedies that is proven by time, it will benefit your health. For example, I have taught to you how to take a foot bath. Try it. See for yourself whether it's beneficial for your legs and foot. And secondly, people who have used ginger, rub ginger on your head, has it benefited you? And also the way Bodhi slimming smoothie, and also the tea that clears your liver and brightens your eyes. If you have tried these and it doesn't work, then you can get rid of my picture and you don't need to come online anymore. And also people who have tried sarmatosum, it won't work right away. You have to eat it for regularly for a year. We don't sell sarmatosum. And I think I'm just accumulating merits and I'm just helping everyone. There are many remedies around the world, and you can even go pick these wild herbs in the field. A lot of illnesses don't have any good treatment today. A lot of what I give to you is my experience, and I have a lot of risk doing this. And if I recommend it to you, Zhezhen wants to share. Jindafan says that yesterday my father did a foot bath, had a foot bath for the first time, and he said, oh, it's a miracle I didn't go to the bathroom at night, and I'll do it again tonight. There's also people say that their father and mother couldn't walk very well, and after doing the foot bath, they can walk freely and run. And these food-based recipes, they don't have any side effects. And if you have a very special constitution, if you tried it once and it feels uncomfortable, then don't try it again. Don't use it again. And if you put ginger on your hair and your hair didn't grow out, and you feel uncomfortable, you can just clean it away with water. And if something gets into your eyes, you can just clean it with some eye drops. And these remedies are to help you. And so quickly, I want to summarize what can prevent some effective preventions against diabetes. And let me summarize it for tonight, and let me see whether I want to talk about it tomorrow. So if you use my remedies and if it's effective for you, then leave me a message. I think it's my responsibility. If I want to help people, and if this remedy is not good, if there is risk, then I don't want to give it to you. And these remedies that I'm giving you are have a very low risk, and so they're safer for people to use. There's many remedies for health, and the remedies I give are safer because I don't want any side effects for you. Baiyun said, I woke up late today because last night, after I used Master's food-based recipe, I had such a good sleep, and I couldn't be waken up by 2 alarm clocks. And I feel very good. It's just that I feel some heat on my gums. Maybe it's because I was taking the food bath for too long. Master said 10 minutes, but I had the bath for an hour. Master said in the food bath recipe there is a temperature. When I was taking the food bath myself at home, I used a thermometer to measure it, and the temperature I use is only 30 degrees. Everyone is different. I was soaking my food in water that's 30 degrees, and so I recommend that the food bath the temperature does not exceed 36 degrees. When the temperature is too high, it will improve blood circulation, but when it's too hot, the circulation becomes too fast, and it may cause other issues. And so I measured my food bath, and the highest I use is 42 degrees, and it's too hot for me. Have you been to Korea? In Korea, there are a lot of sort of sauna places like pools. After you go to these places, you take a shower, and there is a warm floor that you can sit on, and in the winter you can sit on the warm floor and look at the snow outside. And in these Korean pools, there is a thermometer that shows you how hot the pool is. And usually I go to pools that are just above 30 degrees. But some elders, they dare to go to pools that are 50 degrees or hotter. For safer practice, don't exceed 38 degrees water. And before you take the food bath, use your hand to try it. If you feel it's warm, then that's good enough. Do you remember how long you should soak your food in? It's just 10 minutes. Oh, it's 20 minutes. So usually don't exceed 20 minutes.
但是前天晚上呢，我泡了
And
差不多30分
the
钟。
day before yesterday, I soaked my food for over 30 minutes because I was watching
但也没
TV.
出什么事儿。
But it was
睡得
okay.
有点晚就是。
And
对，就是一下睡不着。但是多数用我这个
but then
方子的人
afterward,
呢
I couldn't
睡觉睡得
sleep.
特别好。
And but most people will sleep better afterwards.
对，
There's one person who said that they
它
they
对于那
didn't
个
get up
静脉
at
曲
night,
张啊，
and
那个脑关节
it's
炎呐，
beneficial
那种什
to
么那个
varicose
小变形、痛风
veins,
这些，
gout,
我认为是非常的有效的。
arthritis,
你看这个
and
那个韩国的叫李
this
美
one
金啊，
says
他也分享，
this
他说
Li Meijing
按
from
摩
Korea
跟这个
says
足浴
massage
之后呢，我
after
之前因为
massaging
风湿
and
都
taking
感
the
觉
foot
不到
bath.
脚底，现在这种
Before
感觉又
I
回
had
来了，
arthritis
脚
and
底
I
又回
couldn't
了。
feel my soul,
他
but
之前
now
脚
I
底是
can
没
feel my
感觉
soul
的。
again.
哦，
对，
So she didn't have any
所
sensation at
以
the
说
bottom of her
我给
feet,
的这个
but
方
now
就是
sensation's
我
back.
觉得我
Master
自己吧
says
像
some
吃饭一样
remedies
是
that
无
I
所
give
谓
you,
啊。
I
对，
think
但是
it's
我给大家的东西，
if
我
I
觉
use it
得
on myself,
不能
it
无所
doesn't
谓，
matter.
要
But
我要
if
非
I'm
常的
giving it
小
to
心
you,
认
I
真。
need to be very
在我这里，
careful.
就算是我祖传的
And
偏方，我
even
也
though
自己
if
把它
it's
试
my
验的特别
family
稳妥。
recipe, I have to
我们
try
往
it
外推
until
广
it's
八卦内
very
功的时候啊，
safe.
我是找的一批又一批的人
And
试，
before
试过之
we
后确实没有副
promoted
作用，确
Energy
实挺好，
Bagua,
才敢
we
去推广。
tried Energy
这样，
Bagua
因
with
为你有一
many
个
people
良心
before
道德
we
问题， 所以一定要
promoted it
对得起我
widely
们的信仰。
because it's ethics
好，那
and
这个，我
responsibility.
看大家的
And
这个给我写的信了哈，很多用的
I
这个
saw
方
many
法都挺
people's
好的哈。像垂
messages
盆草不是一下子有效的，
and
要长期
remember
吃
that
就能救命啊。
the
对，
the golden
网友
mouse.
们，我再说，我就是杂货铺，正经的没多少，这些不正
You
经
have
但
to
是能救
eat
命的
it
这些小方法一大堆。我
long
从小就
term.
是个病人，
I
我是病人的病友啊，所以我
I
特别
was
害
ill
怕得
ever
病。
since I'm
所以呢，我
young,
从小就
and
是
so I'm
收集各
afraid
种
of
各样的偏
getting
方，
ill.
收集各种
So
的方法
I
来
have
怎么样让自己
collected
健
many
康，
different
怎么样
remedies
少得
for
病。
good health
哪
to
怕自己用
treat
不着，所以有人
illnesses.
需要的时候，我
Even
就能帮到他。
even though
对，
I might
那个
not
时候
be
我还曾经
able,
想过，有一
even
天
though
我
I
长大
might
做
not
医生，
need it
确
myself,
实有一
I
点点
might
这
be
个
able
妄
to
想。
use
后
it
来
to
是
help
学分
other
太高就
people.
拉倒了，这个
And
梦想就完
when I
全在
was
泡
young,
里面
I
就灭
dreamed to
掉了。
be a doctor
啊，
too,
但
but
是有
I
很多
didn't
内容
have
还
good
存在我这
grades
里，
at school.
师傅也教我，
But I
其
remember
实我
many
妈
of
妈
these
也教我，
remedies. My master
哎，
also
所以我们家
taught
有
me,
一
and
位
my
特别
mom
好
taught
的一
me
位
too.
老中医的医生，有一个
And
非常好的一个亲情的姻缘
and I
啊，所以我
have
们
a
家有
good
几部
family
古老的医
relationship
书
with
啊，
a
还有我的师傅
an
给我的
excellent Chinese
过去
traditional
的
Chinese
哈那
doctor. So
些
we have a
中国
few
很绝版
great
的医
Chinese
书啊，
traditional
对，
Chinese
修道
medicine
的医
books.
书，
And
修道的
my
医书，听起来
my
有点矛
master
盾啊，
also
一
gave
点都
me
不
a
矛盾。
few
修道和治病是一回事儿，哎，
medicinal
就是好几路
books
啊，
from
除了丢了一部分之
Taoist
外，现在也存在还有一千本
practitioners.
啊。所以
And
就是我有很多这些东
so I
西，
have a lot of
我的医
these
书之
things.
中，
And
从
in
治
my
正常病的到治神经病的，到
my
中邪的都有，
medicine book,
很多都不像医生干的，根本是
there
道士
are
做法的，也
things
都
that
属于
can
医书。
treat
就
regular
在我这里，
illnesses
所以
and
杂七
things
杂八的这些
related to
货有
negative
的是，好
energies.
吧？
So I
我从小
have,
给大家
so
给多
I
的时候
know
说
a
这么
lot of these
一个月
things.
给我给了10道偏方，我到底用哪一个？
But I don't want to
哎，
give
所以
too
慢慢
much
给吧。
out because you might
好，
say, oh,
也
I
知
got
道
10 remedies. Which
对
one
于
should I
糖尿病
use?
相关的这些解决
So
的方法呢，请明天
So
大家继续
tomorrow,
来
if you
听
want
啊。
to
如
learn,
果你觉得
if you
有
want
真
to
需要
hear
的朋友
more
呢，
about
可以来
how
一起听
to
啊。
um,
之后再
how to
听也
deal
可以，
with
反正都
diabetes,
存
come
在
and
这个
listen
网
to
络
it
上
tomorrow,
哈。
or
对，
you can come back and
嗯，
listen to
就
it at any
是
time.
真
It's
诚的
always available
愿大家
online.
呢都能
And
健
I
康，都能快
sincerely
乐，
wish
好吧？
everyone to have good
好，
health and
祝大家
happiness.
健康快乐，
Okay? May everyone
法喜
have
充
good
满，
health and
还有健
happiness,
康
full
长
of
寿。
Dharma bliss, and live
我们明
a
天
long
同一时
life.
间再见。
Let's meet again tomorrow at the same time. Tomorrow's live stream in North America, Vancouver time is Saturday, June 18th at 6 p.m. and in Asia, Taipei time, Sunday, June 19th at 10 a.m. It's at 9 a.m. In Asia Taipei time, Sunday, June 19th at 9 a.m.
在茫茫人海之 舟，让我与您相遇。小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了，我慈悲了，我自在了。因为有了你，生命变得更坚定，不忧忧无虑。因为有了你，日子不再有哭泣，不再有恐惧。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。
在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。
在茫茫人海之中，让我与您相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了，我慈悲了，我自在了。因为有了你，了解生命的真理，救寻的意义。因为有了你，日子犹如彩虹般美丽。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。我快乐了，我美丽了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与您相遇。小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，